start talking about social media analytics, drilling down on the data. This is going to be quite an extensive little look here. Social media analytics has often been kind of the enigma, especially since it really has taken precedence in marketing tactics. So we're going to try to cover a lot of material today as far as really giving you an overall view of how it works and what you can use it for, especially since we all probably report to people who want to know how it's working. So we can try to look at that. I'm just going to briefly introduce myself. My name is Rachel Moore. I am the Social Media and Public Relations Specialist for TAB, the Alternative Board. I've got my screenshot up there of my LinkedIn page, my LinkedIn profile rather. I encourage you to connect with me if you wish. I'm on Twitter as well for TAB's boards, as well as my own Twitter, Rachel Really. But I can definitely be available afterwards if you guys are have any questions about what we're discussing today, and any offline questions, because this is going to be something that obviously has a lot of scope to it, and it'll change. So I want to make sure I'm available to you for that. And also just a reminder, this is one of many webinars provided each month by the Alternative Board. They're free, and they're for business owner success, as well as just about anybody who can benefit from the topic. So I will go ahead and proceed into today. Today's drill down on the data. We're going to define analytics. We're going to talk about where the data is. That's probably going to take up the primary portion of the entire presentation today, because there's a lot to cover and it's everywhere. What you should focus on, what numbers can you use for your ROI, and how should you report your findings. Analytics defined, the method of logical analysis. And I'm sure we all kind of are akin to that and know what that's all about. Social media analytics, however, is the practice of gathering data from blogs and social media websites and analyzing that data to make business decisions. So obviously it's kind of the marriage of drawing from social media and tying it into business decisions and how those two can benefit from each other. The most common use of social media analytics is to mine customer sentiment in order to support marketing and customer service activities. You want to get a feel your fans and followers and customers are connecting with you, what they feel about you. And social media is fairly touchy-feely in that regard, so it's actually a really good tool for brands or even individuals to use to kind of gauge how people feel about them. Before you analyze, you do need to determine what your goals are via social media. You don't want to just go in and plow in and look at a bunch of numbers, because trust me, there's plenty of numbers and plenty of statistics you can look at. You need to figure out what you're looking at and what you hope to get out of it. Do you want to drive more traffic to a website or a web page? Do you want to improve brand awareness or perception? Do you want to just get feedback on your products and services? And again, these are just a few ways you can use social media. Promote company events and initiatives. And as you do that, as you establish your goals, then you want to establish your KPIs, your key performance indicators for social media campaigns and efforts. Do you want to get a certain number of increase in your followers over a certain amount of time? Do you want to engage with the amount of retweets of your company or campaign name and make sure you're just getting your brand out there? Again, this is going to be very customized for what your particular approach to social media is. It's not going to be a one-size-fits-all by any means. So just, again, something to keep in mind as you're assessing how you want to move forward with social media, where you're going to be, what social platforms you're going to use, and what you want to see there. All right, let's jump in. Where's the data? We're going to look first at Facebook. I consider this kind of the monster, because this is the primary social media platform out there for now and for a while. It's the kingpin, so there's a lot of data to look at there. First, I want to touch on the personal profile analytics. This is actually, there's not a lot here, and I know a lot of people are probably using their personal profiles for personal engagement rather than business, but that's not necessarily the case all the time. I know from my standpoint I use it for personal and keep it entirely separate from any business pages I manage. Your options are somewhat limited when compared to a Facebook page analytics. You can use tools like Klout. Klout is a free tool online that you can use to kind of gauge your sentiment and how your posts are getting reacted to by other people. You get a Klout score. It's like a digit number between 1 and 100, and the higher you get, yay, the more clout you have, and it's all right. I did want to point out this one I looked at last night, Wolfram Alpha Free Facebook Report. If you are looking for a very in-depth analysis of your Facebook page, you can hop here and it will do this for you for free. Of course, then you're signing in with your email as well as giving them pretty much all kinds of access to your Facebook profile to go in. And they give you an extremely robust free report of how your friends or demographics are, how much you're engaging, which friends are engaging with which posts. And all right, so let's get into the Facebook page analytics. These are called insights. And essentially you have two different methods of looking at it. We will jump in here and look at it. If you have not been on your insights of your Facebook page, you definitely want to be kind of looking at that. And it does put it up for you as you get into your log into Facebook. You pretty much see it as soon as you're on your page site. So first you have your on-screen display. It provides the last 28 days of several pieces of information, your overview of your entire page, how many likes and dissecting those out, the reach of your posts, who's talking about your posts, and check-ins. Also, you can get way more in-depth with it and export a CSV or an XLS file, that's Excel friendly, providing custom date ranges of your report, but it limits you to 500 posts at a time in the report, but you can do a page or post level data. And if you're in the back door and you're the admin for a page, you will see all these things, and you can go into your insights and see all. Let's hop in there. So again, this is the on-screen analytics you would see for Facebook. It's giving you an overview, all these nice kind of dynamic visuals of your posts. The bigger the dot, the more posts you did for that day. And then you've got line graphs for how many people are talking about your post, or reach, which means how many people have seen your post. You can scroll down, and there's a list of all your posts for the last 28 days. So you can drill into this, and we're definitely going to focus in on different portions of this as well. Now, if you were looking at exporting your data, this is where you would do it. And you would select page level data or post level data. I recommend doing both, at least at the start when you're getting used to this. You can see what kind of data is getting pulled out. And it's a lot, trust me. When you export this Excel spreadsheet, it's several sheets and several columns. It pretty much gives you anything you want to be looking at as far as what your Facebook page is doing and how it's performing. Again, you can enter your selected data range. So if you're looking 2 months, 3 months, or just 2 weeks, you can specify that. Especially if you're doing a monthly ROI report, I use this obviously because if you're only looking at the last 28 days on the on-screen display, you're going to want to get more than that unless you're dealing with the month of February. And sometimes you're developing your ROI report a little after the start of the month, so you definitely want to be able to reach back and look a little farther back. So let's hop back in and look at the things that you want to be looking at as far as your fan reach. And these are the Facebook analytics that matter. I'm going to go over 5. And essentially these are the things that are the ones you want to focus in on. Again, there is a tonnage of analytics in Facebook that you can be looking at. And these are the primary ones that are advised to be looking at because these are the ones that are kind of going to matter for you. But it does not mean these are the only ones that would matter for you. As you delve into your analytics, you might find some different things based on your purpose for your page that matter the most. So fan reach is the first thing you want to look at. The number of fans of your page who have seen a given post. Now these are people who have liked your page, so that's why it's called fans. So they already have liked your page, but this is the number of people who have liked your page and they're seeing your post. This is only available through the Insights report, that Excel or CSV export, and you have to go to the lifetime post reach by people who liked your page. What fan reach does is it measures the appeal of your post to your audience. These are people who already like you. If your posts are engaging and relevant, they won't hide your post newsfeed. If they hide them, then that would be lowering this metric. So this gives you a really good idea of who is liking you and if they're seeing your posts or if they're hiding them. Because just in case you didn't know, you can hide people's posts in your newsfeed. It means you still like them or you're still friends with them. You just don't have to see their stuff all the time. So again, that's a really good gauge and a good analytic to be looking at. And again, that is available as you export the Insights report and you look for the column that says lifetime post reached by people who like your page. The next analytic you want to look at is organic reach. This is a bit different than the last one. The number of people, fans or non-fans, who have seen a given post. And this is visible on your screen Insights, the one we just looked at on Facebook. in your webinar and Facebook Insights, you're on your Overview tab. All you have to do to see your organic reach is scroll down, go to your reach. You're going to, let's say you want to scroll it, sort it by the most popular post, the biggest reach. You can click on this number, and here you've got your organic reach. Let me pull up so you can see that whole bar. So it's giving you the total reach, which is everybody who saw your post, but this is the organic one. So again, these are people who both have already liked your page but may not like your page. So that depends on how much you're marketing your Facebook page. Let's hop back in there and look at that. By looking at your organic reach, you can help identify ways you can broaden the reach of your post visibility with people who have not liked your page yet. If you're promoting your page adequately via other channels, this organic reach number should be higher than your fan reach. It means other people might be seeing it via your blog or via your Google Plus page, or maybe you're tweeting out, hey, we're on Facebook, go visit our page. So again, these are people who are coming in, seeing your post. They haven't liked you yet, but they can see what you're doing. So you want this number to be higher, and if it's not higher than your fan reach page, you would probably need to start looking at promoting your Facebook posts elsewhere. Also make sure you have your Facebook page in your signature on your email, because that's an excellent way to do that as well. Sometimes people just click through there and see what you got. This is one of my favorite analytics, the engagement. This is the number of people who have taken action on your post. And this is also visible in your on-screen insights, and we're going to hop back over to Facebook and take a look at that. So this is your engaged users. All right, so if you have a post out there, these are the people that are actually interacting with your post. They're clicking on it. They're sharing it. They're taking action. They're not just looking at it and moving on. They're actually taking some action with that little mouse of theirs and focusing in on that and giving you some action on your page. And that's what you want. You want engagement on your post. You want people to take action. This is next to reach. This is your most important metric because it's showing you how effective you are to create spontaneous action by someone else on your post. Engagement is the only way to measure the interest your posts are generating. If you're not getting the next analytic is people talking about this, the number of comments, likes, and shares on your post. And again, that's also visible on your Insights page, right over here, talking about this. So you can see who's talking about it, and again, click on that and see who's liking it and then who's sharing it. So you can see what the engagement is there. And talking about this is creating some different conversations. It's included in your engagement, but it's the actions users are taking that are visible to their friends. So if somebody were to click on a video you posted and play it, but they don't like it and they don't share it, no one's going to see that. No one's going to tell that they played that video. Instead, your people talking about this indicates that not only did they watch that video, they also shared it. They also made a comment about it, and they also liked it. All of those activities are visible by your fans' friends, and that's a major thing you want to focus on as well. Because if Facebook being very social as well as any social media, you want to see what your friends are doing. You might follow suit and do the same thing. You're engaging with people that are important to you, that their actions can be important to you and therefore important to your Facebook page. We're all familiar with this one probably, the click-through rate, the number of clicks on your content. So again, if you go under the on the Insights in your overview and under the post number for engaged, you can view the number of clicks. This measures again the interest taken in your content, which generated action. And you can use this data to assess what works, what doesn't, and adjust your approach to content and posts. And again, that's on your Insights, just in the same place we just were on your on-screen. You don't have to export this data. It would appear in your exported data as with all of this data, but it's available right there on your screen if you don't want to do that. Lastly, this doesn't always appear in your posts, but the more popular posts you put up, you're probably going to see some negative feedback. The number of users who reacted negatively to your post in their feed, whether they hit it or defriended you or unliked your page, that would be what would happen. But again, that appears in your overview under your post number under engaged. If you click on that number, it would show you if there is any negative feedback. There will not always be negative feedback by any means, but you're likely to see it a little more often on your more popular posts. Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to that. It just hit somebody at a bad time and they maybe didn't like it. So still something to look at. And The reason it's a bit important is Facebook makes posts with high numbers of negative feedback harder to search for in their edge rankings. And just a word to the wise, Facebook page analytics, they're launching out a new format for it. They actually tried to push it out on our page, and I reverted back to the old one because it had said it wasn't getting launched with everybody yet, so I didn't want to go over stuff that you guys aren't able to see yet. So as those get rolled out, I would most likely do an updated webinar on that so we can make sure we're all up to speed on what the new look is. Should have a lot of the same data we just saw. It's just going to be in a different format and different look. So I also want to refer you down here. I do a lot of research as far as like pulling data and research from other places, other experts in the social media sphere. Socialmediaexaminer.com, I pulled a lot of this from their Facebook page metrics posts. Really recommend you get on their site and you can subscribe to them for free and get a daily insight in your inbox about social media. And they're extraordinarily timely with all those things. As soon as something new rolls out, they've got the skinny on it. So I definitely recommend getting in there. Again, as briefly as possible, we're going to touch on the analytics for LinkedIn. Again, we're going to try to roll through all this stuff fairly quickly, but again, I will be available for questions at any point at the end and thereafter. Personal profile analytics. This is a kind of a thing where you have to look around a little bit. You can look at who's viewed your profile on LinkedIn. You can see a list of users who viewed your profile, number of your profile views, how many times you appeared in search results, and keywords that led to your profile. So here's where you can see all that. You can see people who have viewed your profile. This is handy too for networking as well, but again, it's just a different idea. But how often people have viewed you. You can see how many times you appeared in a LinkedIn search, the keywords that led to you. You can see who people are looking up. Joss Whedon right there happens to be one of my favorite authors, so that's why for some reason someone brought him there. And then we have your industries of your viewers, the people who are most often clicking on you. You can help derive from that too. If you're got something totally wacky up here where people are looking for you and they're not from your industry, perhaps you want to look at your profile and just make sure you have some good keywords in there that maybe refer a bit more to whatever industry you do want to be referred to by. So just a word to the wise there. And also talking about where your viewers are. Where are these people coming from that are viewing your profile? All right. Industries of viewers, we looked at country, location. And then also you can go into on your profile page. You can see a list of other profiles viewed by those who have viewed your profile. Your network is broken down quantitatively by company. And on your home page, this is a new analytic coming soon, and again, I will definitely update on this as it rolls out. They're going to add two components to your LinkedIn page. Who's viewed your updates? So this is going to get a way more drilled down onto how your updates, the ones you share out on LinkedIn, are performing and who's liking them, viewing them, and who's commenting. I cannot wait for this to come out because I think that'll be a very valuable analytic to see how influential you're being on LinkedIn and how you can improve that. Plus you can see who you recently visited. That will help you as far as your engagement. So if you just engaged with a group or with a person, you can see who that was. It's just a little reminder, hey, hop back in there and finish that conversation. So again, that's coming out soon. That news just came out in the last month, and they should be rolling that out, so we'll be doing an update on that. But look for that update to assess your LinkedIn. Company page analytics. If you have a company page, you can see the insights on your page. It'll show you former employees of your page, other company pages that were viewed that are like yours, the top skills and expertise of visitors. For company page admins, you should receive a monthly report of your page's analytics each month. I find that to be very handy because when you're in the company page analytics on LinkedIn, it typically only gives you like a snapshot at the top. It says the last 7 days of activity, showing you an increase of people who liked you, sentiment and such like that. And below that is some more reporting as well. So On-Screen Insights gives you the last 7 days snapshot, as well as some graphs that give you some 6-month trends over who's liked your page or commented on it as well. But the company page analytics that get sent out each month are nice because they encapsulate that month, and that they go by calendar month. So it is very handy when you're doing your ROI reporting. I usually get that in my email within the 7 days into the new month. So I usually try to wait till I get that before I incorporate it into my monthly report. And again, on your company page analytics, you have your follower insights, you have company update engagement that shows you how many clicks, likes, shares, comments, and percentage of engagement. You're probably seeing a lot of crossover from what we looked at on Facebook, clicks, likes, and shares, and comments. These are all methods of people engaging with your updates. You're going to see this as a running trend in social media analytics. It's all about engagement and how people are taking action. You also can look at your follower demographics on Follower Insights, the impressions or views of your company updates. Impressions is essentially just views or reach, if you want to get back to that terminology in Facebook. Number of members and number of new followers, so that can give you some handy insights there. Additionally, you have your page insights, which gives you your page views, how many times your page was viewed, the demographics of the visitors to your page, not necessarily ones that have liked the page or followed the page, but who has visited it, number of unique visitors, clicks on your products and services pages. That can be extraordinarily beneficial for you to look at if you do provide products and services on your LinkedIn company page. You can see how many people are engaging with that, if they're interesting at all. Also on your products and services pages, LinkedIn provides banner images that you can have click through to your website. So again, that's something kind of important to look at as it can really drive some traffic to your website. Also career page clicks. If you're posting jobs on your company page on LinkedIn, it'll show you how many people clicked on that. And in group analytics, if you run groups on LinkedIn, you do get analytics on those. I want to point something out that those are visible to anyone, and I just tried that earlier today where I was hopped into some groups that I'm not an admin for, and I am able to see the analytics and statistics for that group. And I'm going to briefly show you what I'm talking about because I thought that was interesting and helpful to know. So if I'm going to my groups, and I've got several groups that I'm involved with, and I want to hop into this Consultants Network one, I'm going to click on their statistics. And it does give me a nice visually dynamic presentation saying, well, here's how many members we have, seniority, their demographics based on their level of seniority, what their function is, where they tend to be located. I can drill all this down if I want. And again, I'm not an admin on this group. I just want to hop in and look at it. So keep in mind your group analytics are visible to anyone, including you. So again, that was LinkedIn. All right, let's hop into Twitter. And again, I will be available for questions after. If I'm not touching on anything or you want me to get a little more in-depth on any of these, we can definitely look at these offline. I will be available. Analytics for Twitter. I know a lot of people may not know where to find analytics for Twitter, and this is where we're going to find them, but I'm just going to briefly run down what we're going to find. If you go into analytics.twitter.com, and you basically just log in with your Twitter ID and password. You don't have to be an advertiser on Twitter, but this would get you into a gateway to where you could advertise, but it also gives you your analytics. So you can view a timeline of your tweets in here and zero in on each day's tweet activity, such as mentions, follows, and unfollows. You can sort your tweets by all your tweets you've done, the good tweets and the best tweets. And you can download another Excel spreadsheet for a custom date range as needed. You can also view your followers data in here, see the full history of follower growth, like full history since you started on Twitter, top interest, location, and gender of your followers. Handy little hyperlink. So again, it's going to try to bring you into the where you can advertise, but here's the analytics, and you can click on either of these two. So let's look at timeline activity. So I think this is extraordinarily helpful. And again, this is not the only place this kind of reporting is available. If you're on Hootsuite, you can get this pretty much the same information through them. But if you're not, or if you just have a need to get in here, this is where you can drill down on this. So by day, you can see how many people followed, unfollowed you. It shows you that trend as well via your the bars up here. And then down here, you've got all of your tweets. It tells you if people have favorited your tweets, if they've retweeted you, or if they've replied. And that's kind of an order of the best engagement. So you can sort them by your best, and it shows you a nice little handy thing as well. This was 3 times your normal reach. You might want to take a look at this tweet, and so on. You can also look over at your followers. I find this to be insanely helpful because you can really see, am I getting the engagement and targeting the people I want to target? Do I need to change my approach if I'm not seeing what I want to see here? So again, like we're for the alternative board, I have a feeling we're pretty on point here. We're looking at people who are in leadership roles, might be dealing with startups, definitely small business. Job searching, sure. We provide some personnel advice as well as other things, and then human resources. So we can definitely look at that. You can see the top interest of your followers, what they tend to be tweeting about or clicking on, the top countries and states of people who are following you, cities where they're following you from, the genders splits between who is following you, and also who else they are following. So very good insights into how well you're doing on your tweets. Are you targeting the people you want to target? Are you being a good competitor with the people you're out competing with? What do you need to change to adjust these to be something more along of what you need to do? So let's talk briefly about link shorteners. If you're familiar at all with Twitter, you know you're limited to 140 characters, preferably less if you're planning to have people or allow them to retweet you effectively, because usually once someone retweets you, that's going to add at least 10 characters to that tweet. So link shorteners are extraordinarily valuable because sometimes you might just have a link you want to share from your website or some landing page, and it's just long. It's going to take up a lot of characters, and obviously you want to be able to shorten that so you can really make a more impactful tweet. So link shorteners come into play for you. There's two primary ones I want to look at with you. There's owl.ly or Owly, provided by Hootsuite, and analytics are provided via their reports within that platform. I tend to use that quite a bit, and you can customize those, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. You can also do Bitly. That's provided by a separate website. Analytics are provided via the Bitly site. So I want to hop out of here real quick and look at that briefly. So first I'm going to go to my Hootsuite account. And if you're in Hootsuite, you can click, you're going to compose a message. And here you would be pasting the link you want to paste. And it's going to shorten it by Owly. You can pick a couple of different other ones, but Owly's the one I have. You can also have it do, if you have a pro account, you can have it set up a custom campaign URL in here, and I'm going to look at that here in a minute, but we're going to look at Bitly again first. So Owly is the one that shortens it on Hootsuite, and it has its own website as well. You can hop to owl.ly and it'll shorten it for you. You can also go into Bitly and paste any link up in here and it'll shorten it for you, but then it'll also track the performance of that link. So if you tweet that out, or if you shorten a link here and send it out via your Facebook page or your LinkedIn page or what have you, it's going to track the performance of that link. And again, Owly does the same thing in the Hootsuite platform. The reporting comes out via Hootsuite's reporting. But you can go in here and see the stats of that tweet once you've shortened it, or that link. So I can see who all clicked on it. Shows me how many times it was shared. It shows me the geography, where it was shared from, and so on. I'm going to talk next, related to link shorteners, about creating custom campaigns for your link. Now, if you're using the free tool on Google, which they provide, you can create a custom URL to share on social media, or a link rather, to share on social media to generate specific reporting in your Google Analytics. So again, this all comes back to your Google Analytics, and you can hop into Google and check out what's going on here. So if you have a link, let's say you have a link to your website, and I'm going to, let me hop in. I actually know which book this one. So I want to share the website for the alternative board. And this is the website to our webinars. And I want to share that out. Okay, so I'm going to have that be a link I share out. But I want to add a little more insights to it. I want to give some capability to myself to be able to track this later on Google Analytics. And you can do this through this method. It allows you just to enter in the source. So let's say I'm going to say, well, the source, I'm going to send this out via Twitter. The medium, I'm going to call this my social because I'm doing it through social media. You can also do a campaign term if you have paid keywords and content. But you can also do a campaign name. It requires that. And I'm going to say this is my webinar campaign. So if you hit submit, then it's going to give you, this is your new link. And so you can copy this, and then you can again take this to any link shortener, Owly or Bitly or anything else, and shorten it and then share it out via whatever method you have. Now once you do that, then you can come back into, I'm in Google Analytics right now, so I just define all those parameters, and you can come into Google Analytics and sign into your site. And obviously there's a lot of information in here in a lot of places, but what you're going to do is go down to your traffic sources, and go to campaign. So I just made a campaign URL, and if I scroll down, there's the campaign URL. I made this yesterday, so obviously it's like maybe 2 links on it, but this is the campaign I made yesterday, and that's the one I just showed you in Google when I made that custom URL for campaign. Now it's showing me, well, your webinars campaign has generated 2 clicks here, brought them to that page. And see, you can use those kind of tools to create something trackable for you. I definitely recommend starting a campaign. Like if I want to go in and I want to market our webinars page for the next 6 months, I would go in and create that custom URL, and then I would share that, and I could do it via Twitter. I could make a custom one for Facebook or for LinkedIn or for our blog, and I can go in and I can really make something drill down to where I can see, well, this link really performed well on my blog, but it didn't get a lot of clicks when I shared it out via Twitter. All information you can use to really maximize your efforts. All right. And again, I just went over that. You can view the analytics for custom campaigns in your Google Analytics, traffic sources, and campaigns. So you can, and that does, again, a lot of the campaigns we're seeing in there ties into our email marketing campaigns. You can see those as well. So in Google Analytics, you have social analytics that you can look at. You have network referrals, which give you the visitors from social sites that engage with your website. You can look at conversions. You can discover if a social referral assisted or closed a conversion that you establish, and that's a goal that you define. Landing pages, you can discover what links to your site are getting the most traffic from social. And social plugins, see how those sharing buttons are working for your content. And goals. And after I go over this slide, I'm going to hop back into Google Analytics and just briefly go over these. But goals, you want to set up goals in social analytics. To see how your social engagement affects conversions, you must set up goals in Google Analytics. So there are different kinds of goals you can set up. Destination goals, does your visitor get to a certain page? Duration goals, does your visitor stay on your site for a minimum amount of time? Pages or screens per visit, does your visitor view a minimum number of web pages or screens? And for an event, does your visit perform the desired action? Do they share something? Do they play a video? Do they complete a contact form? What do they do? Let's hop back in briefly into Google Analytics just to show you what's going on here. So if you scroll down again, and Google Analytics is getting far more dynamic as far as really honing in on the social part. But again, we're on traffic sources is on your left. Go down to your social and get an overview of how your social is performing for you. And you have all these educational methods. Google Analytics has so much to it, and sometimes it really needs a lot of schooling with it. So I definitely use these, I'm not ashamed to say. But here you can see your social value. You can see how many visits your site has had, how many visits were via social referral, how many of those came from social sites. Conversions and contributed social conversions, that's where a social media interaction contributed to someone actually completing a goal on your site. And here you can see by social network, well, here's how many people are coming from different social sites and finding your site, which ones are performing the best. Obviously, LinkedIn is performing really well for us. So then you can look at different shared URLs, how many people are visiting, social sources, people are sharing things on Google. That's the overview, but again, as I just pointed out, you can hone in on network referrals, see how many people are visiting from each type of social media platform, which one's performing best for you, which ones might need a little more attention from you, or some that may just not be functioning well for your audience and the demographic, and maybe you need to, reassess your approach and your strategy. Landing pages, you can see where people are coming most often from those social sites. So it's our home page. They seem to like our blog. They're exploring board membership, which is great for us, and all those kind of things. You can see where they're most often coming. Do you need to focus on maybe promoting another site, a different site that's not getting enough, upping that campaign a little bit? Conversions, again, this is where you would assign a dollar value to to a goal that you are setting up. I like this one because it's visitors flow. You can see once people are starting at one of your social sites, where are they going? Okay, and you can highlight one piece of traffic so you can only see, okay, well, this is where all these are coming from to hit these pages, and then they're going on. The red indicates they've dropped off. So that's something very welcome to be focusing on as well. If you want to set up goals, you would need to go into your admin for your site. Click on your site, and here are your goals. And then essentially you would just go in and create a goal. And again, you can set it up for anything you want to do, and it will create a flow for you. You can tell it, well, I want them to start at my Facebook page, but I want them to finish at this contact form. And then put a dollar amount on that. If that winds up being a closed sale for you of a product or service, then you can assess, well, that's based on how much that costs, the social interaction was worth about this much. And that's something we're going to refer to later in the presentation as far as what you're going to present to the people that care about the numbers. But what you should focus on. So that's Google Analytics, a very brief nutshell for you. So I want to make sure you know we can go over that later as well. There are lots of metrics we just looked at and barely dabbled in. But lots of things to see and things you can focus on. If you don't want to waste your time, you don't want to be incorporating data into your reports that nobody's looking at or nobody cares about. So there's lots of metrics there. You really do need to find the ones that matter to you and mostly matter to the people who are controlling your budget and who are assessing, well, how much are we able to put out on social media? Is it being effective for us? The things you want to pay the most attention to. You want to pay attention to your reach. Who has seen your posts without action? Who is getting that visibility of your brand? That is important because obviously, you know, with the rules of marketing, the more often you see something, the more often you're likely to repeat it. And anyone who's got kids who have listened to the radio know that sometimes they start singing the jingles, and so that's sticking with them, and it works. So the same thing applies for social media, is that if you have good reach on your posts, people are seeing what you're doing, they're far more likely to remember you and possibly go back to you, mention you, talk about you. Engagement is the next big thing. You really want to hone in on the people who are acting on your posts. Are they liking your content? Are they sharing it, most importantly, with other people? Are they clicking on it and possibly completing a conversion on your site that's important for your revenue? And relevant followers. I mention this all the time. It's not how many followers you get, it's how many relevant followers you get to engage. You can have 10,000 people liking your Facebook page or following you on Twitter. If not one of them is retweeting you or mentioning you or sharing you, or if your Facebook fans are just looking at your stuff but moving on, you're not being effective. You're basically just being a megaphone that everybody kind of hears you in the background and they're not engaging. Get those people who are going to act and respond and try to evoke that response from them. Those are going to be the people that are relevant to you and can help make social media effective for you. And that's really what all these analytics are trying to drive. Budgets need numbers, so this is the important part about how to get back to what can I be providing to the people that matter at my company that need to see these numbers. All right, so here are some things you can look at. Aside from all the numbers we've just seen where you can talk about, well, we're reaching this many people and here's how many organic reaches we've had, you can also put some number values on some of these things. So formulas, let's say for engagement on Facebook. Let's say you want to look at one post engagement. So you can take the number of engaged users, and remember we looked at that on the Facebook Insights. It's on the screen right there when you scroll down and look at posts. Number of engaged users. If you divide that by the number of reached users, again, that's the number right next to that number, and then multiply that by 100, that's your percentage of engagement for that post. When you do this, you're probably, if you're not having an entirely robust active page, there's going to be a low number. But as you begin to track it from month to month, you should see this number go up, especially if you're really paying attention. you're using these analytics, you're really coming forward with a good campaign and a healthy strategy of really being present on your social media pages and trying to put content out there people are going to click on, this number should go up for you. Same thing for Twitter, essentially. The number, so take any tweet that you have out there. You can get the number of replies and retweets that were on it divided by the number of your total followers times 100. Let's make that percentage again. You get a percentage of engagement. And again, as you're assessing, you're seeing, well, these tweets are just laying there and not doing anything. Well, start putting out links. Start putting out a video, hashtag that has infographic on it, that you're showing an infographic someone can look at and share. Those are some major things people like to see. Photos, videos, and infographics are the top three. Go for those. But you should see this percentage number start to grow as you're really starting to get a little more traction and show people you have something to share. And again, this all is derived from socialbakers.com, another great blog for social media, where they talk about how to assess your engagement rate. And again, great numbers to show if you have people who are like, well, I need you to give me some kind of a numerical value on our social media impact. Here you go, the percentage of engagement on your post. And again, you can put a dollar value on your social when we talk about those goals in Google Analytics. You establish a goal for each social channel, and then assign a value to it. If a closed sale means a certain dollar amount for the company, what portion of that can you say, well, that came from social? And then take that resulting data from the conversions in social. That's in your Google Analytics, and we just looked at that in Google Analytics. Under the social, it had a conversions tab, and you can see where those goals came to fruition. So again, something to look at that you can definitely go back to your to the people in charge of the budget or the people in charge of determining your social media strategy and say, well, this is working, and here's how much it's making for us because based on how we're seeing how it's closed these sales. All right. Lastly, how should I report all of this? I have opted to do PowerPoint. I use PowerPoint because to me it made the most sense, and I was kind of trying to assess. I'm pretty good with Excel. But I was like, I thought about how would I want to present this so it's dynamic, it's visually pleasing, it's so much numbers, but let's put a little more visual to it so it's not boring. PowerPoint was a really good option. It's presentation ready. Obviously, you can present it in any boardroom that has a computer and a screen. You can use smart graphics for visually dynamic slides. PowerPoint really has made some advances in that, so it's pretty easy plug and play. You plug in the numbers and it makes something for you. Plus, you can export it to a PDF, and that's huge because not everybody's going to want to just, hey, let me play this PowerPoint on my screen and see what you did, or you know, go attend a meeting where you did it. Instead, you can export the whole presentation, only certain slides, as a PDF and send it to whoever cares about it. You can use Excel, and again, I'm not saying I'm the authority on what to use. I know I like PowerPoint. Here's a couple of slides from my my monthly ROI report. Again, all I did was take a screenshot from Google Analytics in this one, put the date range that it was for, and referred to it so I can give them something they can look at. Here's where I used a smart graphic in PowerPoint to say, yep, here's my percentage of engagement for our tweets that are going out there, which that was an increase from last month. So again, that number looks low, but it's getting bigger every month, so I'm going to take that as a win. And again, so you can kind of put this out there, and I would definitely recommend, and again, use the resources out there. That's all I did too, was go out and see and try to get some understanding, just like we are doing here, on what this all means, but incorporate that in your report, because just because you might start be able to see the big picture and see how it all works together, you have to assume that someone who's getting this report is not going to know what a fan reach is. Well, what's organic reach? Why should I care about that? So you can definitely highlight those in there. So that is the crux of it. It was a lot. I'm going to drink some water now, but I'm also going to ask if anyone has any questions.
The conference has been unmuted.